I'm Megan.
I'm CJ.
And I'm Erica.
And this is the Her Podcast.
Today we're sitting down with cult chocolat founder Ying Tang. Ying is a mother of two, has multiple businesses under her belt, and shares with us her story of being blindsided in business. How she moved through grief and loss of being pushed out of her business she helped build, and how she chose to lean into something new and build it from the ground up on her own. We're talking with Ying about all things PPD, postpartum depression, how she navigated through it, how she built confidence and resiliency as she moved through a very difficult situation. You guys are really going to be inspired by her story. Enjoy this episode. I'm curious what your favorite flavor is.
I'd say vanilla. Like, no one buys a vanilla because it's plain, but I really like it.
It's actually a really good vanilla though, because you use vanilla bean.
Yeah.
Which, like, it's not like you can tell the difference that it's like not the fake vanilla.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, it's like legitimate vanilla, you know?
And this morning I also made pumpkin spice.
Ooh.
Is this new or is this seasonal that you do every year?
This is for the subscribers.
Yeah.
Oh,
That's how you're going to get them, right?
Yeah.
So you do a different bar every month.
Yeah.
Amazing.
And they get that for free.
Oh my gosh. I really like the orange one. The orange chocolate. I'm a sucker for orange chocolate. It's so good.
The coconut was delicious.
I mean, they're all good.
They're all good.
Yeah.
So I don't like the coconut. I only made it because my friend wanted me to, and I can't eat it.
Really?
Okay. I don't feel bad then saying coconut is the one flavor. I want to love coconut so much.
Yeah.
And I just can't. I try so hard and I'm like, it's not for me.
Yeah.
Well, isn't that funny? Oh, so you never taste test it to see if the batch.
Sometimes I do, but I'm like, I can't.
Someone else
Don't
has
like
to
that
taste
one.
test it so that you can tell if it's good.
I volunteer as tribute. Although it sounds like your friend probably would volunteer first,
Yeah.
which would make sense.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm so curious how you got into the chocolate business to begin with, because this is your second business in chocolate. So let's go all the way back. Why chocolate?
It was back in my early 20s, and at the time I was a personal trainer and specialist in fitness nutrition. So I was always looking for the superfoods. And I didn't know dark chocolate was until I went to a class and learned all the amazing benefits. So yeah, I learned how to make it. And
Did
how to
you teach
market it.
yourself, or where did you learn?
Yeah, I learned through books, a little class, and then YouTube. So I didn't go to school for it.
Yeah, I love it. So then you just fell in love with it.
Yeah, at first it was just at home for fun. And then my sister was in Halifax for university. She got a scholarship there. And I really wanted her to come home. And for her scholarship, she had a list of things she had to do. And one of them was you can go start a business in the summer. So I said, okay, let's go. Let's start a business just a summer. And then we can shut it down. You can go back to school. And I thought, okay, we'll do the chocolate. We'll do it at the farmer's market. And then we'll shut it down. So yeah, it wasn't ever a plan to be a business, just a fun thing to do with each other. And then, yeah, it just didn't stop.
So you started at the farmer's market in Saskatoon.
Yeah.
And then I'm so curious how you went from in the kitchen to where you're oh my gosh, we're just making chocolate all hours of the night here to keep up. What was kind of the venture?
I think the first day at the farmer's market, we sold it out within a couple hours. So we were up late at night getting ready for the next day. We just having to keep doing more and more. So we invest. And we didn't have a lot of money at the time. We were in our early 20s. So we would save up, buy a little bit bigger machine and bigger. And then eventually the farmer's market shut down. It moved over to the airport.
Yes. Yeah.
And so we didn't want to go there. So then we had to open up our own store, which was a scary move, but it was a good one.
Yeah.
And were you making the bars at that point? It was still bars?
So you guys had a very successful business.
Yeah.
How many years had you been in business at that point?
We started in 2014.
And how long did it go for?
It's still going. So my sister runs it.
Okay.
And I just left last year.
Can you walk us through that?
So I had my second baby December 31st in 2021. And I think, yeah, when I had a 4-month-old baby, my sister said, like, we need to sit down. There's things we have to discuss. And she just said, like, I want to leave this business partnership. And, like, I tried to understand where she's coming from because I felt like maybe she was overworked because I was busy having kids. And so, like, I offered her, how about, like, you take your turn. You want to go to naturopathy school. You go do that. I'll take care of the business or whatever you want to do. So I tried really hard to make sure she was happy. And she said she would think about it. And then that she texted me and said, no, I want to leave this partnership. And she gave me a couple options. She said, we either dissolve this business or I buy you out or you buy me out. And I didn't want any of those. Like, I just wanted to focus on being a mom, and I wanted to keep my chocolate shop. And then, yeah, it was really hard time. Just like being a new mom and realizing I'm going to lose this business and I don't know how to keep it. And so I said, okay, fine, I will buy you out. But it was really tricky because when I was away, she moved the chocolate shop inside one of her own businesses. That's like a little grocery store. So when I was 6 months postpartum, I said, okay, I'm ready to take over. I'd like to start coming into the chocolate shop since I'm taking over. And that's when she said, sorry, you are kicked out. You have 2 weeks to grab all your stuff and leave. And so, yeah, that was a really hard moment because it's like, there's no way I can win this business. But I didn't sign any papers. Like, I didn't give her any money. And so she gave me 2 options then. Either we dissolve the business and I'd only get like $6,000 for that, or I just take $10,000 and leave. And neither of those I was happy with. So I went to a lawyer and I was like, let's start a lawsuit. And there's like lots of people that are like, lawsuit, like fight back, because I'm like really easy to step on. Like, I say yes to everything. I want to make everyone happy. Like, this is my chance to fight back. And that was really emotionally exhausting, thinking like, I'm going to sue my sister and it's going to take $80,000 in at least 2 years. And yeah, like through lots of mentorship, it sounded like that wasn't the spot for me. And maybe I should just like lick my wounds, cut my losses, and just leave. So that's how I left.
I'm curious, did you see that coming? Like, had you had a breakdown in relationship, and if you're comfortable to speak to it, because from what it sounds like, it just was out of nowhere.
Yeah, I didn't see it coming because her and I were super close. Like, when she moved, she finished her university degree in Halifax and she came back and she lived with me, and like we were inseparable. I joked with my boyfriends, it's like, if you're dating me, you're pretty much dating her because she's coming everywhere. And so we did everything together. And then like, I think once I started a family, we started slowly drifting apart. And so yeah, that came out of nowhere. Like, I had no idea that this was coming.
So she never came to you and said, I'm unhappy in this area, let's talk about it. She sat on it, and then it felt blindsiding to you. Wow. Except
like maybe the years previous, we would say like, okay, there's a little bit of unfairness, so we'd always make sure she got compensated more.
Yeah.
So like there were some signs that it wasn't working, but
not to that degree.
Yeah.
So how are family dynamics now for you?
I haven't talked to her since last year. And yeah, I do feel bad about that. But like every time I wanted to reach out, there's just like so much anger. I knew it wouldn't be healthy.
If you listen to episode 21 of the Her podcast, then you have heard our conversation with entrepreneur and hairstylist Rachel Stang, and you know she is extremely passionate about hair. Rachel is the owner of Freebird Hair Design located in Saskatoon, and she offers elevated, effortless hairstyling services for weddings and special events. With 17 years experience and several of those as an educator specializing in bridal and special event styling, Rachel is truly a master of her craft. A few summers ago, I was a bridesmaid for one of my best friends, and Rachel did our hair. You guys, I was so excited for my turn in the chair. She gave me the most lovely boho waves, and I was totally obsessed. Rachel makes you feel instantly at ease. She is the loveliest and most genuine human, and her passion for her work shines through so brightly. She literally lights up the room. You are going to want to book in advance, ladies. Her books are open for 2024 weddings and special events. You can sit in her chair in her cutie little downtown studio suite, or she will come to you. Rachel offers on location, and you guys, she loves to travel near or far. She will literally travel the world for your big day. Head to Instagram to see some of the stunning and beautifully textured styles Rachel has created at Freebird Hair Design. That's FreebirdHairDesign. And you can also send an inquiry or book in online with her at freebirdhairdesign.com. Also linked in the show notes, friends.
But my mom and dad, or my mom's cool about it. Like, she's a businesswoman. She's like, oh yeah, fights are normal. This is normal. So
So then what happens?
And I think the other layer here that you had previously mentioned and that we're privy to, but maybe we can touch on, is you had postpartum depression, PPD, right? At the same time. But how was that for you? And how did you come to find out that you had that? What symptoms were you having? Did you realize with your first, or was it not until your second that you sort of had that diagnosis?
yeah, with my first baby, I thought it was normal. And then in hindsight, it looks like I had like high anxiety because I could never leave the baby for like 5 minutes. I always held him. I wouldn't even let the dad hold him. Like he went with me everywhere, and I was always worried. And after the second baby, I think I would go to the nurse and they'd fill out like a questionnaire, and it was really bad. She was really concerned, and I didn't realize that. I was like, oh no, this is normal. She's like, no, you have to see someone and you have to talk to someone. And so yeah, I just started into therapy, but like with all of this going on, it felt like
Too
I was
much.
drowning.
Yeah.
What are some of the things that you thought were normal that now in hindsight realizing you're like, oh, this is what they were identifying as, like, I need to see someone?
I can't remember, but I know like I cried a lot.
Okay.
I didn't sleep much. Maybe like anger or resentment towards the baby. And then also like thoughts of the self-harm thing, which I knew was not normal. But
Yeah. Myself, I had PPD, or PPA, I guess, postpartum anxiety, more so after I had my son. And I can resonate with you thinking like some parts of it are normal because you're exhausted. You're not sleeping and your hormones are all over the place. But it took me probably 6 months to really realize, okay, these symptoms that I'm experiencing are actually not normal in my day-to-day and shouldn't be here, and I don't have to feel this way. So then I went forward and got help. How did you notice the difference once you started speaking to someone? And then were there other tools that you used to support yourself as well?
Yeah, I think once I started like talking to people, and even talking to other moms or business people, because I was learning business partnerships almost always fail.
She says to the three partners sitting down. She's
like
literally
the
like,
three and the two. She
dun,
said
dun,
it's
dun. You could tell she's like, sorry guys. I'm here to tell you. You're fine.
No, but I listened to your guys' podcast. You guys sounds like you have good communication and awareness, so I think yours will work out.
She believes in us.
She's being very nice. It's okay, don't worry.
But yeah, just talking to people, having their support. And I think having a project to focus on helped me so much. Because I remember I would just like lie awake crying and in so much anger. It's like, I can't do this. This cannot be my story. Like, so I knew I just had to change the story. And I asked myself, like, what's something that distracts me? I was like, maybe I could get addicted to video games. That would be cool. Because I used to love like playing Sims when I was younger.
Oh my
Spend 8
gosh.
hours doing that. Or I know like sometimes I can lie awake and just think of business ideas, and sometimes they don't come to fruition. I just think about like where it would be, what I'd sell, the name, all that. So I was like, okay, I'm just going to focus on that. Maybe it will happen, maybe it won't. So yeah, I just started thinking, okay, I got to start a new chocolate business. And I thought about like maybe other businesses, but I know that I have skill in chocolate.
Did you ever stop and think like, I don't want to do chocolate anymore because my sister's still doing this business? How did that feel for you to know you left this business and you didn't want to. So I guess, is it fair to say that you were forced out of the business and then deciding that you were going to start a business in the same industry?
Oh, yeah, totally. Like, I did not want to start over. Lots of people were like, oh, yeah, just dissolve and start over. But I thought, like, I'm not in my youthful 20s anymore. I have 2 kids. I'm exhausted. I don't have time to go to the farmer's market every weekend to build a clientele. And I didn't want that competition. Like, we built a great company. So I feel like if I started it, I wouldn't be successful. But yeah, there was like this fight within me, like, do it, don't do it, do it, don't do it. And then I just thought about like all my customers, or like all the people that know me, they always ask like, how's your chocolate business doing? How's your chocolate business doing? And I didn't want to answer saying like, I'm not in it anymore, or I left. Like, it just felt so sad if that was my answer all the time. So I wanted to answer, my chocolate business is doing great. And so I just decided to commit, and I gave myself very low expectations. I thought like, it won't be successful. I might lose money. It might be really hard, but just break even or like focus on something. And then that made it more manageable.
Yeah.
You really removed some of the pressures. So curious how you decided to make it different.
Yeah, there were some things about my old business I didn't like. Like, we sweetened it with maple syrup, so the shelf life wasn't very long.
Okay.
And so therefore we couldn't go out into stores.
Okay.
As well as like the packaging, we just packaged it in paper bags. So I knew, okay, I need to change the recipe so that it's shelf stable. And I need to change the packaging, and I want it to be out in stores. And I don't want to be the one selling it. Like, I want retailers to do it.
Yeah.
Because then it feels like I have a whole team that I'm working with rather than just myself.
I love that you kind of skipped over the whole retail aspect of it and went straight to wholesale. It's a smart move.
Well,
Yeah.
and it's really, I guess, like maybe the silver lining, I guess I could say, because obviously it's sad that you had to dissolve your business the way, or got forced out of your business the way that you did, but you're able to sort of look back, reflect on, okay, like these are the things that I would do differently, and now implement these changes into this new business and possibly have more freedom and more say in the ways that you want to do things and the direction you want to go, and the branding that you want to sort of have, right? And it seems like the business has taken actually a different direction than what you had previously had, because you're able to sell, like you said, to retailers and to stores and have more of a team going forward, which is really cool, right?
And how was it finding your packaging? Because your packaging is really cute. And so I'm curious on how that all came about and how you came up with naming a new business. Because we already said it was hard enough to name the first one. How did the second one come?
Yeah, with the name, like anytime I have a business idea, I just like ask the God or universe, saying like, I know, like I'll go to sleep and I'll wake up and the name will pop up. It didn't for a while.
You're like, tonight's the night.
You learned some patience in the process.
Yes.
And at first I was going to call it like Cure Chocolate, because I'm like, it's a cure for everything. And then it didn't work. But then I was watching Netflix at the time, and I forget what it was, but it was like, it's kind of like a cult. And I thought like that word is so edgy, and I've always loved that word because there's some things, like I went to Thailand and took a training, I'm like, this is a cult. Or like I went to Italy to view the school, I'm like, this is a cult. I'm like, I want to be in a cult. Like, I just thought it was cool, but I want to be a cool one. So I was like, okay, maybe I can use that word. Like, it's edgy, it's cool, and it feels like you belong to something. And then with cult, I was doing some research, and with the Netflix movie there's like a prophet. I was like, okay, well, maybe a god, a chocolate god. But I'm like, no, it can't be a god, it has to be goddesses. And they have to be beautiful and from all over the world. And so I'm like, okay, each flavor is going to have their own goddess. And so I didn't do the drawing, so I got someone to do them for me. And yeah, she like captured my vision perfectly. Like, I kind of want like the tarot card feeling, so she got that. And yeah, just everything came together exactly. Well, I didn't know how it was going to come. I just let it unfold. Like, I assumed this business has like its own journey. So I just like help it become what it's supposed to become.
Oh, that's a very interesting perspective, because I think a lot of people when they come into business are very I'm going to say maybe controlling, right? And want to like hold on to things. And so this perspective of just, I'm going to, obviously steer the ship maybe a little bit, but like not fight against the current, if that makes sense, is very interesting.
I keep going to like, you're just so in flow with the business. I'm so curious how that differs from the way that the first business was run.
I think the other one wasn't so rigid either, because like I didn't expect it to be a business, so it was just kind of like, and I didn't know how to do business, so it was kind of like trying to keep up with how things are changing, and I'm playing catch up. So I guess this one is more like somewhat taking charge, but also letting it do its own thing.
I think there's something really beautiful about that, where you're giving, the business itself opportunity to show you where to go, instead of trying to, like CJ said, that semblance of control, wanting things to be a certain way. I think that it's so intentional for you too.
I have two questions that I want to ask you. One is, I think I've heard you made mention that sort of, and I want you to say this in your own words afterwards, but that possibly your sister was sort of like the extrovert and the one who was like out there and putting the business out there in the beginning. And I think that when we chatted, you were like, you weren't sure how you were going to put yourself out there for your own business when you first started. So I'm curious what that looked like for you in gaining confidence, in, believing in yourself. Like, how did you start to build that for yourself and transition from maybe being like more behind the scenes to being like, oh, now I need to be in the front and propel this forward?
Yeah, my sister's like the extrovert. Whenever like people wanted to interview us, it was always her out there, because I don't know, I would just freeze. And when I started this business, I did feel defeated. I'm like, if people are going to interview me, I can't do it. But I'm like, I got to change that story. I can do it. I have to have low expectations. I might suck, but I will get to a point where I can be out there. And I think right now I'm still kind of hiding behind the scenes. Like, I don't put my face out there much, but like even doing this, coming here is a good first step. And yeah, if there's going to be more interviews, maybe I should just say yes. Because there are a lot of times it's like, yes, no, just kidding. You could read this or something. But I think I want to try putting myself out there a bit more. But I have like my safety net where it's like I don't have to if I don't want to, because I have like a whole team of retailers helping me.
Right. No, that makes sense. The other thing I'm curious to ask you about is resiliency. Because I think that you've been through quite a lot with like the PPD, having your babies, being kicked out of a business, starting a new business. And so I'm curious if you like have taken the time to possibly even reflect on your own journey. And if someone is listening to this and they're feeling like, hey, like I'm having a hard go of it, I'm having a hard time, things are happening in my life, whether they're the similar or very different, like what are some things that our listeners could do, or maybe you did, to sort of build that confidence back up and like push through those hard times and start to come out on the other side?
Yeah, I feel like I've been through lots of hardships and learned like in the moment it feels really hard and really heavy and like it's not going anywhere. I think just like acknowledging like that's how I'm going to feel for a bit, and then finding like the small wins, like giving myself small goals and having a good support group, and just like I think also just like I check out of reality and live in a dream world sometimes, just like what I'd like life to look like and can I get there.
And is that sort of just like in your mind, or are you playing, because you had mentioned like video games earlier, you know what I mean? I'm like, are you actually doing something, or like exercise? Like how are you getting yourself there? Is it just allowing your mind to be creative and flow to those places, or what does that look like for you?
Yeah, I think just like letting my mind go over there. Like when I'm drive out to Bigger to go see my parents, it's like my time to daydream, or same with shower if it's uninterrupted by kids. And,
Good luck with that. It sounds to me like what you're describing is visualization. Yeah, and I think that that's a really powerful tool to be able to get clear on what you want too.
Have you ever wished managing people was like putting together an IKEA cabinet? Challenging, but you were provided with all the instructions and tools to complete the task? Then listen up. If you're looking to take your leadership skills to the next level, we've got something special just for you. Introducing Lead From Here, the brainchild of 3 incredible women, Julia Seguin, Bridget Turner, and Leah Gregg. These ladies are on a mission to revolutionize leadership development. Imagine a world where being a supervisor isn't a daunting task, but more like assembling, like I said, an IKEA cabinet, challenging, yet with clear instructions and tools. Well, Lead From Here is here to make that a reality. On January 26, 2024, in Saskatoon, Saskatchewan, they're hosting a 1-day practical leadership workshop from 8:30 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. at the Parktown Hotel. And guess what? Lunch is included. This workshop is designed for supervisors, business owners, entrepreneurs, or anyone working with people who want to tap into their team's talents, reduce performance challenges, and build a cohesive team. You'll learn practical strategies like how to connect with your team, give and receive feedback, build trust, manage change effectively, and leverage your strengths while minimizing biases. Okay, a quick side note. If you know me, CJ, you probably know that I absolutely love personal development. That's precisely why I'm already signed up and will be attending this conference myself. I had the pleasure of meeting with Bridget over Zoom, and I was truly blown away by her thoughtful and insightful advice on business. Lead From Here understands the hustle and bustle of management. They'll help you seamlessly weave leadership into your role because, let's face it, practical leadership is the key to success. This is not your typical leadership program. It's engaging, filled with real-world examples, and offers a chance for genuine connection. So whether you're a new supervisor, a seasoned leader looking to grow, or just someone wanting to add some leadership skills to your toolkit, Lead From Here has you covered. And here's the kicker. Use the discount code HER20 to get 20% off your registration for the Practical Leadership Workshop. Ready to lead with confidence and empathy? Don't miss out on this opportunity. Join Lead From Here at the Practical Leadership Workshop on January 26, 2024 in Saskatoon. For more information and to register, visit their website at leadfromhere.ca. That's lead, L-E-A-D, from F-R-O-M, here, H-E-R-E.ca. And be sure to follow them on Instagram, Facebook, and LinkedIn at Lead From Here. Unlock your leadership potential with Lead From Here. We'll see you there.
Oh, I have a story.
Please.
Okay, so this visualization started at a very young age. When I was like maybe 12, 13, I wanted to be a hypnotist because I saw one at the exhibition.
Oh, yeah.
And so like I was Googling how to be a hypnotist, and I like wrote down a script, tried to hypnotize my sister. It didn't work.
I love that.
So yeah, it's just on the internet, how to become a hypnotist. And somehow something popped up saying like, listen to this thing by Jack Canfield, the author of Chicken Soup for the Teenage Soul, and learn how to build your dreams. And it wasn't like hypnotist stuff. I'm like, oh, it's free. So it's like, call this 1-800 number at this time, at this day. So I did that. And it was all about like waking up and whatever you want, just visualize it. So it's like, if you want money, visualize the money when you first wake up. I mean, I didn't want that because I was 13, but like I learned how to do it. And so I learned this at a very young age. And it's also funny because my mom called me and she was so angry. And she said, there's an $80 phone bill. What were you calling? So yeah, it wasn't free because my mom had to pay the $80 phone bill. But yeah, I learned visualization at a very young age and like how to build what I want.
That's so interesting. It seems like you have a natural knack for being very curious. Mm-hmm. Is that true?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
totally.
for like things that come across your path. I'm curious, you sort of mentioned your mom is in business, what your upbringing was like. Do you have other siblings as well? And is sort of business something, and entrepreneurship something that you've always wanted to get into? Or like you said, did it sort of just fall into your lap?
My mom, we were never really close, but it's because she always had so many businesses. And she had maybe 3 restaurants in Saskatoon and 3 flower shops, and then out in the small town bigger where I'm from, she had like a flower shop and a clothing line and another restaurant. So she, like we weren't close to her, but I like looking back now, maybe that's why I realized, or maybe that's why I didn't. There was nothing stopping me because it's like my mom does it all the time. So it's like, I can do it. But she never pushed me into business. She didn't say it was a good idea. She kind of says like, it's really hard. But yeah, I wasn't close with my mom. At a time I hated her, but she was one of my biggest influences. And I never planned to be a businesswoman. I went into school for mechanical engineering. That didn't work. And then I went to be a doctor, did a couple years trying to get into it. That didn't work. Oh, and now I'm a massage therapist. So that's my full-time thing. And so chocolate's a side thing.
I'm curious how you set yourself up to be able to navigate all of the things that you're doing.
Okay, before kids, I was an expert at self-care. I like meditated, visualized, journaled, exercised, like all that stuff. Once kids happened, that all disappeared. Like I completely lost myself. I didn't know who I was. And then, yeah, balance eventually came. I think one thing that helps me is realizing that I don't have to put a bunch of time into it. So it's like, okay, if I want to exercise, I don't have to do it for a full hour. I'll just go for 10 minutes. That's good enough. And then same with work. I don't have to go full time. I can just do 3 hours a day. So right now my schedule looks like I wake up at 5:30. I go make chocolate for a couple hours. I come back home, get the kids ready at 8 o'clock, and then I go to the gym. And it's great because they have childcare there.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm. So I'll work out, and sometimes I don't work out, like I'm exhausted. I'll just lay on the floor at the gym.
Great.
Or I'll do my business, like social media stuff. Like the gym time is me time. And then, so after the gym, I go to work doing massage therapy. I only take 3 clients a day. And then after that, I do like the cooking, cleaning, bedtime stuff routine. So right now I feel like a balance, and I'm always like adapting to the balance. But yeah, just showing up, even if it's like 10 minutes. Sometimes at the gym, I'm super late. Like I have an hour to work out, but to get the kids in the car, I don't know why it takes half an hour, but sometimes it does. It's like, shoot, I only have like 20 minutes to work out. I should just skip it. But I'm like, nope, show up, go do it. And so just constantly showing up helps like get that rhythm. It's because it's so easy to give up.
I just saw this picture the other day, and it was talking about 2 images. One was like what we think it means to show up every day, and it showed like 10 circles, and the circles were like completely colored in. And then it was like what showing up every day really looks like, and all the circles were colored in at different points. And it was saying like some days you're going to show up half full, and some days, but you're still going to show up. And then the other one was it was like a tweet someone did, which was like, if you only have 30% to give that day and you give 30%, you gave 100. And it was saying like just to show up and to not, like we come from a culture where we have to be working out for an hour, and we have to be like getting our green juice in the morning, and everyone has to be happy while you get your kids ready for school, and this pressure of like being 100% of the time is very unrealistic. So I love that you're speaking to just show up, even if it's 10 minutes to walk on the treadmill. You showed up, and that's actually enough for you that day.
Well, it makes a difference. Yes. Like it really does. Like we think like it'll only make a difference if it's an hour, but usually if you have like 5-10 minutes, you know, and you just commit to that 5-10 minutes, at least in my own life, like it makes a difference, right? Like in your mental health and how you feel. Mm-hmm. Yeah. We had a listener actually write in to circle back a little bit to PPD. And I'm curious your experience. She said, she has heard that it's talked about, you know, that PPD lasts like, let's say like 6 months or like a year or something like that. And she's like, it actually can last longer than that. So I'm curious to hear, and even from your perspective, maybe Megan as well, how long it sort of lasted for you and what that has sort of looked like transitioning out of and circling back to, again, some of those tools that really helped you.
Yeah, like my youngest is 20 months, and even yesterday I was like, do I still have PPD? Just because like, yeah, those feelings of defeat come in. So I think it's like up and down, and maybe I still like, it's still affecting me. But yeah, the tools that I use, I think it is just like constantly checking in with my friends and my partner and saying like, today I'm really down today, or like I need to talk to someone. Or the therapy thing, which I think I have to go back to therapy. I don't know if it's PPD now that he's 20 months, but it still feels very challenging at times.
Well, and therapy is important at any stage, right? Mm-hmm. I think like we're all big advocates, you know, instead of setting aside time for that. So like you said, whether it's, you know, PPD or just like life stresses, right? And different stages of life and things that come up, right? Megan, did you find that?
Yeah, I had a thought. I think that what I would equate it to is you kind of come out of that fog or that heaviness, and you can see, you know, the other side or some normalcy, and then you get kind of used to that feeling again, and it feels better. And then when you have a bad day, you're like, you almost feel it heavier sometimes because you're like, I thought I was through this or whatever. So what I would kind of equate it to, I just had this thought of like, it's kind of just like opening a wound just a little bit. So then some of it will just like, you're like, oh, I remember this feeling. I remember this pain. So it's just kind of like poking this wound, but then it doesn't last so long again. I don't know if you resonate with that. That's just kind of the visualization that came to mind for me. And I think that the more women talk about it, the more we can all, you know, feel more comfortable talking about it in our own experiences, because there's nothing more powerful than a shared experience. And I love how you said, you know, in hindsight, I did have it with my first. I think a lot of women are really going to resonate in hindsight, right? I think I did have it and something wasn't quite right, but I pushed through. But I love that you took the time to really think, okay, this isn't right. Something doesn't feel right. And I think that the way that your mindset shifts, and you spoke a little bit about a couple times choosing a different story. Can you expand on that a little bit? Because I think that's a really powerful thought.
Yeah, there's like, I could like stay the victim, or do I take this hardship and turn it into something beautiful? Or like, when I think of that, I think of the lotus flower, because like it grows under muddy waters, but it pushes out to be something beautiful. So like any hardship I have, I think like, how do I take this challenge and make it into something beautiful or like a lesson? And then, yeah, the story, I always, like I once did an interview. I joined an air guitar competition, like as a self-growth thing.
Oh my gosh.
And
That is so fun.
Yeah. I remember like I was being interviewed on TV and she's like, why are you doing this? I'm like, well, like I want this to be a chapter in my storybook, like that I did this. So I feel like everything I do is going into a novel or into a story. So yeah, that's just my visualization. Everything I do is going into my storybook.
Right. It's not the entire story. Yeah, I think that's important, because I think even what you said about having something happen and you can like choose to, I mean, no matter what the thing has happened. And I think too often people choose to sit in it and let it define themselves in a different way. Right. And they can't move on from it, and they can't look back and see like maybe where the growth came from. So I love that instead you're choosing to be like, no, I'm going to choose to have this be a part of my story, but I also get to like write it because you're in control of you. So something bad happens to you and you get to say, how will I respond to this? Right. I love that. That's so great. I also love that you did like air guitar for someone who's like, I'm nervous. I'm like, that's pretty like,
Yeah.
that's pretty bold.
Yeah.
What would you say to somebody who's maybe just stuck in the victim mindset right now and knowing that they don't want to sit there but can't quite see how to get out and choose something different?
I think it is just asking myself, what do I want my story to be? Like, do I want to sit here and just like be victim, or do I want to be the hero of this story? And then maybe just accepting that I will be the hero. I don't know the answers right now, but trust that like it will come to me one day or soon.
I'm curious if you spent time visualizing where you want Cult to go and like what you want for the business now, because you're like, you know, it's actually doing really well. We have a lot more wholesale. Have you spent time dreaming big? And if so, are you willing to share anything with us on like what your hope is for your business?
Yeah, I think there's like an internal battle with me, because there's part of me that wants to be really big. Like it's already in the States right now. It'll be Canada wide. But then there's the battle where it's like, I'm afraid of my own success, or like making excuses. Like it's going to take away from my family, or I can't handle it. Yeah, there is that battle, but I'm just like coming to terms. I have help, and where I want it to be. So I never think about money goals. I just want, when I was starting this business, the money, I didn't want to look at the numbers. I just wanted to, and this isn't even measurable. I just that I want everyone to hear the word cult chocolate. I want everyone to know. So my only goal is like getting it out there.
I think that's interesting because we've been having conversations with business owners about, sometimes I think on social media, and speaking from my own experience, we see what other people count as success, and then we think we have to do the same thing to be successful, instead of having like our own idea of success and then measuring up to that. So often we look at what the world views as successful, which would be your business making, you know, X amount of money. Well, then it's successful. But instead you're going, well, I've decided on my goal and that's how I will measure my success. And it doesn't really matter if it's, you know, money wise. What matters is this. And I love that because I think a lot of business owners get caught up in the dollar amount, and that's how they are measuring their success, and instead of looking at other areas that they've had impact.
And I think like the other thing, just to tee off of that, is like I was listening to something, and it's even employees too. Like, you know, we're all motivated by different things. And so I think sometimes when we're motivated by something, let's just use monetary because it's just easy to use it as an example. If we're motivated by monetary, we think that maybe everyone else around us is, but there's actually other motivations for people and different lenses that people look through, right? Whether that be an employee or like a business owner. And so actually being able to identify in yourself what actually is your motivator, right? And then focusing on that, and then also identifying what's the motivator in other people. Because if it is something different, then you actually need to utilize that thing in order to motivate them. So maybe you're trying to give them more money and they're like, yeah, okay, like that's nice, but like what, but they're not going to feel that deep fulfillment inside of themselves and that purpose unless you're like hitting on what they're actually motivated by, if that makes sense.
Totally.
Yeah.
We always like to ask our guests a final question, and that is, what is the best piece of advice that you've ever been given or that you like to give people?
Yeah, I've been thinking about this. Well, I've been listening to your podcast for a while, and it was a different question for a while.
Yeah.
So I've been like,
you're OG.
yeah, I've been like preparing since before you even asked me to come on here. I was like, when I'm on there, what am I going to answer? And now you guys changed the question, so I've been thinking lots.
Our visualization queen
Over here.
Yeah, but I'd say like memories are the best investment. And I say this because I'm such a huge saver. When I was younger, like I would not spend money on anything. Like I just want to go to my bank account. But then I'm learning, like when I look back, it's like not the things I buy or the amount in my bank account. It's like all the times I went traveling. And then I heard this thing, it's like, if you die with $500,000 in your bank account, that's $500,000 of wasted experiences. So like now my goal is like, if I have money and I want to go see the Maroon 5 concert, which I did last month, then I'm going to do it. So yeah, investing in memories is
that's such a good one. My husband and I have had a decade-long argument over things versus memories, and just recently we had a conversation and we're both now on the same page, where it's when you look back, it's those memories and those moments, which don't always have to cost a lot, but sometimes they can, right? And so it's the experiences, and especially the shared experiences, whether it's someone you bring along the way or someone you meet along the way, right? But that connection piece is really huge. So that's a really great perspective.
For our audience who may not know where to find you, can you tell them where they can find you on Instagram and website, and how to get a subscription and all that stuff?
I love Instagram. I don't do Facebook. So Instagram is cult chocolat, like chocolate in French, like without the E. Website's the same, www.cultchocolat.ca. Oh yeah, and you can find, I think we're in maybe 15 stores in Saskatoon, so you can find us like at McNally's, Green Tree, Be Aligned, Paramount Spas, like different places. Or if you want to be a subscriber, it's a really good deal. You get $2 off every bar, plus you get a free chocolate bar that's a feature flavor for that month. Like no one else can get it except you if you're a subscriber.
Which this month is the pumpkin spice latte.
Yeah.
You guys, we've all tried her chocolate. It's phenomenal. It's so good. So I can't recommend it enough. Everyone needs to go buy a bar for sure.
And subscribe to the subscription box because then you get multiple bars.
Yes. Join the cult.
Yes. I love it. Thank you so much for being here with us today and sharing.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you, everyone, for joining us on this episode of the Her Podcast. If you want to follow along with us, you can find us on Instagram and TikTok at its.her.podcast. We can't wait to see you there.
Bye.
Bye. Adios.